In this video, I'm gonna break down exactly how I went from this to this. Back in 2021, I was a fat piece of shit. I was 220 pounds, 40% body fat, had no idea what I was doing in the gym, and was just doing cardio for the hell of doing it. And now, I'm in great shape. I've built muscle mass. I've lost over 50 pounds. And in this video, I'm gonna break down exactly how I did it and some tips and tricks on how I did it and some things that I wish that I could have done when I first started as well. Now, I want you guys to understand something very, very important. You will never lose fat and weight if you aren't checking what is going into your mouth. And that leads me to the most important and crucial part of changing your body and your physique: diet. Now, the first thing I want you guys to understand is that there's a lot of misinformation on the internet, and it simply comes down to one thing: calories in, calories out. If you burn more calories than you eat per day, you are going to lose weight. If you eat more calories than you burn per day, you are going to gain weight. A lot of you have no idea how many calories you should be eating per day. And in this video, I'm gonna give you guys an exact blueprint about how I did it if you are a newbie lifter and you have no idea what you're doing when it comes to your diet. Now, if you have the resources and the money, I would actually recommend always getting a bodybuilding coach or a fitness coach, because they can just accurately make these measurements for you. But if you are in high school or you're just starting out and you don't want to burn a lot of cash, this is the way I did it, and it is a great way to start if you aren't heavy in your lifting career or you just want to understand the basics. So I'm going to show you guys on screen real quick. The thing that I used, the website that I used, is TDEE Calculator. This app or website is going to help you understand how many calories you should be eating, and it's also going to give you a basic macronutrient breakdown on how you should be fueling your body. So I'm gonna put it on the screen right now. I'm actually gonna use this in the sense of how I was when I first started. So when I first started, I was 17 years old, 222 pounds, height 6'2". Now, activity is a little bit interesting. What I would recommend is to lowball it. So if you are currently going to the gym and you're working out maybe 3 to 4 times a week, I would actually go light exercise. And if you're going super heavy, you're doing cardio every day, you're lifting 5 to 6 times a week, I would go moderate. And heavy exercise in athletes should only be used if you're literally doing like 2 a days and you are constantly moving around for work. But if you're not in that state, I would highly recommend light exercise and moderate exercise. And obviously, if you're just a fat piece of shit who's at home gooning and eating Cheetos, then I would just do a sedentary. So back then I was going to the gym, but I really had no idea what I was doing. So let's just go with light exercise. And body fat is optional. If you can figure out what your body fat percentage is, it's going to be a bonus because it's going to make your calories more accurate on the website. Back then I was 42% body fat, which is it's fucking crazy. But we're going to calculate. And pointer for all you guys, if you don't know what your body fat is, you could do a DEXA scan, or you could just get a solid estimate. You could get body fat pliers on Amazon. I'm gonna leave it in the link in the description. And you could just, it's like $10, and then you literally just, it has a chart and it gives you some sort of estimate of around what you're at. So you could just use that. Now, if you guys see here, my maintenance calories is 2243. So basically what that means is I could have ate 2243 calories a day and not gained or lost any weight. Those are my resting metabolic calories. So even if you're not going to the gym whatsoever, you're just sleeping and you're just lying around in your couch, you're still burning calories. The human body just burns calories normally. And any exercise you do on top of that, you're basically just giving your body more calories to actually eat and to actually consume. So maintenance calories here are 2243. So again, if I ate 2243 calories a day, I wouldn't gain weight or I wouldn't lose weight. But since I'm trying to lose weight, I would subtract 3 to 500 calories in that range from my maintenance calories. If you want to lose fat quicker, I would recommend 500 calories. If you're trying to take it slow and steady, 3 to 400 should work. And I don't recommend anything above 500 just because you're gonna feel like shit. Not be that much in a deficit simply because again, you're gonna feel like shit and your body requires nutrients to actually function. So again, maintenance calories, 2243. I wanna lose, let's say 1 to 2 pounds per week. It's gonna be, I'm gonna subtract 500, which means I'm gonna be eating 1743 calories per day. Now, how do I actually know how many calories I'm eating per day? The thing here is you have to get a fitness tracker. There's tons of apps that track how many calories you're eating per day. MyFitnessPal is a great way to start. I would use MyFitnessPal, and you must get a food scale. If you're a pudgy piece of shit and you don't have the genetics and you're not skinny with the skinny abs, and you're just a pudgy teen or you're just very, very pudgy wherever you are, you have to get a food scale and you need to track every single bite. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be very, very difficult to actually do that, but once you get in the rhythm of it, it just becomes a part of your daily life. So going back to the TDEE calculator, if you guys see here, it shows you your ideal weight, your BMI score. You don't need to worry too much about that. Your maximum muscular potential, and it shows you your maintenance calories. And I'm gonna go cutting, 1743 calories per day, which is a 500 calorie per day deficit. Again, calorie deficit, you're gonna be losing weight. Calorie surplus, you're gonna be gaining weight. And macros, you shouldn't fret too much about when you first start. I would always recommend a high protein diet to start. You wanna keep the protein the highest, and I would recommend when you first start about a gram per pound of body weight. Now, if you are incomparable and you're like 350 pounds, obviously that's not going to be sustainable. So I would probably do 0.7 grams of protein per body weight, something around that range. Or you could do 1 gram per pound of body weight that you're trying to reach. So if you're 350 pounds and you're trying to get to 200 pounds, I would try to eat 200 grams of protein per day. And carbs and fats are interesting. This is something that I had to learn. You want to keep your carbs either moderate and your fats low, or the other way around. You want to do moderate fat and low carb. You can't have both ends of the stick because it won't equate to the amount of calories that you're eating. So if you want more carbs, rice, potatoes, stuff like that, I would do moderate carb and low fat. If you want a bit more like saucy foods, you want to add oil to your foods, you want to do moderate fat and low carb. But when you're first starting out on your journey, I would highly, highly recommend paying attention to the calories and the protein the most. So that's the end of the TDEE calculator. That is a great way to start your journey, is just to calculate your macros and your calories and just go from there. Get your food scale, start tracking every bite. Now going to the actual nutritional aspect of things, this is one thing that people always ask me is about cheat meals. And when you're actually cutting and you're trying to drop fat, people say, can I have, 1 to 2 cheat meals per week? And my answer is always no. You have to get in that routine of eating healthy. You have to get in that routine of, actually cooking your meals and actually understanding how much food is going into your body. Because the truth is, one cheat meal can ruin your entire week of progress. If you eat clean 6 days out of the week, and then you go to Wingstop and obliterate a 20-piece with 5 ranches, you're literally just taking away you're removing all the hard work you did during the week, and then it's literally like that week didn't even count. You have to get in that routine of actually eating healthy. I wouldn't recommend a cheat meal I would recommend 1 cheat meal per month, if anything. 1 cheat meal per month is actually sustainable. You can actually enjoy some aspect of life, but my recommendation would be 1 cheat meal per month. It's funny, I had a friend who, this is about a year back, and he was kind of starting on his fitness journey. I gave him this exact blueprint, and he was like, bro, I'm doing exactly what you're saying, but I'm not making any progress. And I'm like, dude, that makes literally no sense. Walk me through what your week looks like. And he's telling me, he's tracking his food, he's doing high protein, he's making sure that he's eating in a deficit of, 300 to 400 calories from his maintenance. And I'm like, it seems like you're doing everything right. And then I'm like, talk to me about your weekends. Are you drinking, doing any of this stuff? He's like, no, I'm not drinking. Because, by the way, alcohol, terrible for gains. It's never going to help you in any way. And he's like, oh yeah, but on Saturdays I have a cheat day. I'm like, what the fuck is a cheat day? He's like, oh, just because I'm working hard all week, I kind of don't really track my meals on Saturday. And I'm like, bro, that's where your problem is right there. You're literally negating all the hard work you did for the week, because all those deficit calories that you ended up, removing from your diet, you're just re-eating them on Saturday. And so you're just either staying in maintenance or worse, you're ending up in a surplus at the end of the week. So going off of that, one cheat meal per month. Now, I'm not going to jump into the nitty-gritties of, exercise. I'll just want to give you guys a basic blueprint. If you're first starting off your fitness journey, all you pretty much really need is 3 to 4 days of, I would recommend weightlifting for everyone, 3 to 4 days of weightlifting. And if you get a good grasp on the 3 to 4, I would give it about 3 to 4 months. And if you can consistently go to the gym 3 to 4 times per week for weightlifting, I would bump those numbers up to 4 to 5 or 5 to 6. Splits are completely up to preference. It's just all about how your week is spread out. So for example, if I'm in the gym 3 to 4 times per week, I would do something like a upper lower push pull split. But splits aren't really what's important here. You need to get in the habit of, when you're first starting out, actually being consistent with your weightlifting and focusing on progressive overload and making sure that your form is good and you're actually trying to build muscle. When you're trying to lose fat, cardio is key. It's gonna suck, but you have to embrace the suck here. For cardio, I would recommend pause. I would try to get some sort of cardio in every single day, whether it's treadmill, Stairmaster, elliptical, playing sports. If you're doing the treadmill, a good setting to live by is something like 12 incline, 3 to 3.5 speed. I know it for about 30 minutes. I know it sounds bad, but if you put on a show or you just put on some music, time flies. It really does. And you have to be doing cardio every single day, because not only will it help you lose fat quicker and it's going to help you burn more calories, but it's also just a very good habit to have. It's good for your heart, it's good for your respiratory system. It's going to make your mental more clear. It's just cardio I cannot recommend enough. And this is something that people actually tend to negate, is their steps. And I would recommend getting a watch like this, a fitness watch that can track your steps, your heartbeat, things like that. I would recommend doing 10,000 steps per day. Now, the 10,000 steps per day is not only going to be good, because it's going to help you burn more calories and you're not just going to be sedentary all day, but it's good for metabolism, it's good for digestion, and it's just genuinely going to help you lose fat and lose weight quicker. We've talked about the two most important things that are required for you to lose fat, and that's going to be diet number 1 and your exercise plan. And lastly, I'm going to talk to you guys about supplements. There's a lot of hearsay and a lot of bullshit online about what supplements you should be taking. At the end of the day, every fitness influencer is just trying to make a bag. You guys should just know that at this point. But in my opinion, what has worked for me, I'm going to give you guys a blueprint right now. I'm going to put some pictures on the screen as well. The first supplement that I take is vitamin D3. Next up, I do take greens. I take greens every morning on an empty stomach. That's just good for digestion, and it's just good to have in your system. I take zinc. It's up to you to take pre-workout. I personally do enjoy taking pre-workout. I like experimenting between different caffeine dosages. If you're a newbie and you've never taken pre-workout before, I would recommend just 1 scoop, and then as your tolerance increases, you can do 1 to 1.5 scoops or 2 scoops if you're really feeling that. I would recommend either a non-stim or a half stim. Full stim is a little bit too much for me, so I personally don't really dabble in that, but pre is optional. If you don't want to take pre-workout, you don't have to. You can get your caffeine from other sources like coffee, but I personally enjoy taking pre-workout. It just makes my workouts better. There's that saying, you don't need running shoes to run, but it sure fucking helps, and that's the same thing with pre-workout. And lastly, creatine. Ignore all the creatine myths online. You don't need to do a loading phase. 5 grams a day until you die with lots of water. Simple. And after about 2 months, your muscles are going to reach full saturation. So I would recommend 5 grams of creatine a day. I've been doing that for the last 3 years. My muscles have reached full saturation, and ignore all the creatine myths online, all that bullshit. Just take your 5 grams a day and you'll be fine. And that right there is the exact blueprint on how I lost 50 pounds and disciplined myself in the gym, outside of the gym, and it just equated to all parts of my life and just made me a better person overall. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have been enjoying these self-improvement videos, make sure to hit the subscribe button because we're on the road to 10K subscribers. Let me know what video you guys want to see next. Make sure to like, share, subscribe if you're new. And without further ado, I'm out. Peace.